This morning, and we're going to be starting with Minister Pernell Charles Jr., who will be giving you an update on the tremendous work that his ministry is doing in relation to supporting those who have been affected by Hurricane Beryl. Minister Charles, over to you.
Thank you, Minister Morris Dixon, and I appreciate the introduction and the adjectives being used. Let me also say good morning to all. Acknowledgements to my colleague Minister, Mr. Johnson Smith, CDS, CD, CTD, so many acronyms, CTD, dear Williams, directors, members of the OPM team, JDF team, other agencies, and members of the media, Jamaica. We're going to give you a brief update on our efforts as it relates to the Rebuild Jamaica initiative, which is the initiative that has been moving across the country to provide relief and support for the several individuals who have been impacted by Hurricane Beryl. The government of Jamaica allocated more than $1 billion to the Ministry of Labour and Social Security for the distribution of grant support to beneficiaries whose homes were damaged or destroyed by the hurricane. And we have been assessing across the country. When I stood here first, the number at that time was 8,700. The number of assessments done now is beyond 13,500 across the country. So you can understand the amount of work that has been put in since the last 3 to 4 weeks. Persons with minor damage will receive $50,000. Persons with major damage, $150,000. And those whose house were totally destroyed will receive $400,000 in 2 tranches, 200 and then 200 after an assessment is done. Of the full amount of persons who have been assessed, households assessed, there are a number that we have not been able to validate. And that process includes us going through the contact information, your name, your number, your address, as well as validating your TRN. What this has exposed is that a little under 5,000 of the 13,500, we have not been able to validate the TRN for one reason or the other. Either the name is spelled incorrectly, or your name might be Sasha, and you tell us it is Sasha, you spell it S-A-S-H-A, but your TRN has it as S-A-S-C-H-A, or the TRN number that you gave us was incorrect, because in our interaction and engagement with citizens, many did not have their TRN card because the house was totally destroyed, or for whatever reason they couldn't identify it or find it at the time. So we have been going through a process now of re-verification, reaching out to persons by phone, calling members of the community on their street, talking to the MPs, to the councillors, going back into the community. And so far, we have been able to at least validate of the 13,500, a little more than 7,000. Good news is that of that amount that we have validated, 100% of the validated beneficiaries, those checks have been printed. 100% of those checks have been distributed either to the parish offices or to the areas where they're to be collected. And of that amount, more than 50% have either been delivered or collected by a beneficiary already. So we are in high gear, moving at high pace, achieving in this 6 to 8 week period what would normally, under ordinary circumstances, take us more than 6 to 8 months. We are doing this with the support and collaboration of our partners across government, and we are also doing this with the collaboration of our members of parliament and organizations, local and international. So, back to the data. So of the 13,500, we have about an estimate of 7,000, little more than 7,000 that have already been printed and distributed. Of the amount that we are now re-verifying, as of this morning, a little more, I think it's 503 of those, we have been able to identify those persons. And so that batch will be printed today for immediate distribution and delivery. And I must say, this process has exposed the need for NIDS. Like it or not, if the country is going to develop, we have to be able to identify, we have to be able to collate and move swiftly. This is the main reason why we cannot today announce that 100% of all persons have received their check. So you may hear persons in the news or otherwise saying, well, I was assessed, and I'll know. I don't see somebody come and give me a check. And I'll know I don't hear my name called. Primarily, it is because of the inability to validate you. All persons who have been validated, their checks have been printed. So let me make that very clear. And I want the media to be clear with that, because those questions have been asked. Of course, St. Elizabeth is the parish with the largest number of assessments still ongoing, and the largest number of checks printed come from St. Elizabeth, more than 1,245 at a value of more than $116.4 million, and that's ongoing. And that's followed by Clarendon with more than 1,055 checks printed at a value of an estimate of 98.3 million, call it $100 million. And St. Mary follows in third place, followed by Manchester and then Portland, and on and on. So we hope, and we are working towards being able to put in place processes to speed up the re-verification. So there are persons who have indicated to us that they do not have a TRN or they cannot find their TRN. And one of the things that we have instituted is the use of a proxy, so that you will be able to identify someone responsible who can serve on your behalf with the necessary verification to receive the check on your behalf. Additionally, we can give the indication that in addition to the checks being provided by the government of Jamaica, 50, 150, and 400, through our collaboration with the UN World Food Programme, there will be an additional cash grant provided for several of the beneficiaries who are in the more vulnerable categories. And 1.4 million US has been provided by the UN World Food Programme to deliver cash grants to some of the worst affected families with children, persons with disabilities, and elderly members. Payments of that tranche will commence in September. A total of 42.75 million Jamaican through UNICEF will also see 36.5 million provided to families on path with children, ages 0 to 6 years and pregnant or lactating mothers, as well as 6.25 million Jamaican provided to persons with disabilities who have been affected in a negative way by Hurricane Beryl. And these payments will commence by the end of September. Another one of our partnerships is with the Global Empowerment Mission, and in that partnership we are seeking to assist and support up to 1,500 households, starting with the replacement of 250 roofs in the worst hit communities. We're finalizing the partnership with GEM, and that should see GEM providing material at no cost to the beneficiary, and the beneficiary or the government paying for labor, which will boost and amplify the support that any one individual or household receives. So I just want to take the time to applaud our stakeholders, to really highlight and acknowledge the level of partnership and the strategic partnership that we have been able to forge and to advance to the benefit of our Jamaicans, particularly those that have been impacted by Hurricane Beryl. Our team continues to hit the ground. It's the same team that is doing the assessment, the processing, the re-verification, the distribution, the answering of the phone, the responding to the emails, the response at office, the response to minister who is calling at 10 p.m., the printing of checks on the weekend, the pulling into office at 7 a.m., and on and on. And so I have to take the time to acknowledge the team from the PS to our acting PS now, Ms. Dion Jennings, to our CTDs, to our directors, going straight down to our ancillary staff, every single member of the Labour and Social Security team, and our friends and partners across government, from STC, Food for the Poor, GEM, Red Cross, ADRA, across the board, that have done an amazing job so far. Again, in conclusion, I want to openly invite and encourage those persons who might say that they still have questions or concerns around the assessment. And I can tell you that as of last week, the number of persons contacting us to say that they haven't been assessed has reduced astronomically. I don't think I received even one call in the last 3 days from anybody seriously who was impacted. One lady this morning called to say she's from Trelawney, and she got my number from my brother, who told her that she must call me. And she called to tell me that she lost 2 sheets of zinc, but she got those 2 sheets of zinc back from the church. So she doesn't need anything. She just wanted to let me know that she lost 2 sheets of zinc. But if you lost something and you haven't had any support from church or friend or family, contact us still. Contact us and let us know. And you can contact us through our parish offices. You can contact us on our customer contact center number, 922-9000 to 13. You can contact us through social media, through the ministry or through my own page. Or if that doesn't work, contact us through your member of parliament or councillor. Each and every one of them, regardless of where they sit, will be able to contact me directly. That's our update. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. Don't go yet. We just need to check if there are any questions from the media in relation to the burial relief efforts.
Seems there's no question.
Okay, all right, thank you. You got off. And I think it is because of the good work that he is doing in relation to Hurricane Beryl. So we're going to be moving on from the relief efforts, and we do have some updates that we need to give, and we do have a special guest who is supposed to be going through those, who is not here as yet. And so in the interim, what I will do is I'll ask if there are any other questions in relation to any cabinet matters that the media has. I can take those now, and then I will go through my initial opening with giving you some updates in terms of what was discussed in cabinet. But I will just check if there are any questions in relation to other cabinet matters at this time. Okay.
Morning, Minister. Zara Burton, 18 Degrees North, and working for Reuters today. Are we going to be getting an update on Haiti today?
When you see who is in the room, you are definitely getting an update on Haiti today.
Okay, so
Yes.
I'll just wait for that.
So
portion.
you can wait for that portion of our discussion. All right, I'm not seeing any questions, which is very interesting because, oh, sorry. That's okay, go ahead.
Could you provide an update on the supplementary estimates of expenditure that is expected to be tabled I suppose sometime soon. Will that still take place, and could you indicate to us whether it will take place so soon as, pardon me? Okay,
They're
sorry.
asking you to stand.
Could you indicate for us if it will take place as soon as the Parliament resumes?
Sure, and you should introduce yourself.
I'm sorry, Edward Campbell from the Gleaner Company.
Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for that question on the supplemental estimates. We actually did discuss that in Cabinet yesterday. And I keep noting Minister Clark is still the Minister of Finance. He is not going anywhere. We're not allowing him to leave until he has finished things. Yesterday, I spent a long time talking to him about things I needed to get approval through the Minister of Finance. He's very much working. And the supplemental estimates are expected to come to Cabinet within a matter of weeks, and then it will go through its regular process through the Parliament.
Thank you, Minister. There are, or special guests are walking over shortly.
All right, I'll
May I
just take another one until,
yes, and may I just
until
remind
they're
the
here.
media just to identify yourself. We do this every week, so identify yourself, and if you could stand so that the camera can find you. Zara.
Morning again. So since we're waiting on Haiti, just a quick question. Has there been any discussion within the Cabinet about possibly tabling the integrity?
Nice. And so that will be done at the appropriate time, and we don't plan to comment on it until it is tabled in Parliament. And I ask you to stand for our Prime Minister, the Most Honourable Andrew Holness.
Good morning, everyone. Please. I didn't get to hear what Minister Dana Morris Dixon said. Did she say that I can't comment?
Yes, that's what I said.
Well, I do take note of the tabling of reports. I believe one of them has to do with my statutory declarations. I'm pleased that they are now before the Parliament, and I am equally anxious to have them tabled so that I can address them publicly. But that is not the purpose of my visits with you today. My visits are becoming more frequent. I think so as well. I have two matters to discuss with you. The first has to do with the announcement of a committee to review our disaster risk management processes. I'm given two scripts here, so I have to make sure I have the right one. As Jamaica continues to navigate the increasing challenges posed by both natural and man-made disasters, we must commit ourselves to a pathway of resilience. In recent years, the intensity and frequency of such events have grown. For Jamaica, this means that we must stand ready to respond swiftly and effectively to safeguard lives and livelihoods and our critical infrastructure. The most recent reminder of our vulnerability came with Hurricane Beryl in July 2024. Beryl caused significant damage across parishes, affecting thousands of households and leaving many Jamaicans without shelter, water, electricity, and nowadays, a human right, internet connectivity. Totaling, I'm sure, over $10 billion in damage. The Beryl experience highlighted the urgent need to enhance our resilience. The resulting impact is sobering, and it shows what is at stake for Jamaica if we are hit by whether it is a hurricane or any other form of natural disaster. Though we recovered quickly from the last natural disaster, we don't know what tomorrow will bring. and whether or not the impact will be worse. We cannot wait for the next disaster to catch up on our preparedness. In response to these challenges of what I describe as high frequency, high intensity, and sometimes overlapping disasters, and I want to emphasize this to the listening public, Jamaica is impacted by high intensity. The impact is great. Frequency, they are happening now more often. But the part that we must pay close attention to is that these disasters, these unexpected shocks, are also overlapping. So you could have a pandemic, then you are hit by an economic crisis, whether it is supply chain impact or inflation impact, and then you could be hit by a natural disaster such as a hurricane, and you could be dealing with all three all at once. Or you could be transitioning out of one and then you are hit by another. And that is the nature of the world today. And governments have to be constantly prepared for this. So in response to these challenges of high frequency, high intensity, and overlapping crises, the government established the Disaster Risk Management Review Committee. This committee is tasked with strengthening Jamaica's preparedness for disasters and ensuring that we are ready to meet future crises head-on. The DRMRC, that is the Disaster Risk Management Review Committee, will focus on critical areas such as infrastructure resilience, essential services like water, electricity, and telecommunications, as well as medical services and community preparedness. These sectors are crucial in maintaining stability in times of crisis, and any failure in these areas can have widespread consequences. The DRMRC is led by Major General Anthony Anderson, a public servant with decades of experience in disaster management and national security. The committee also includes Dr. Paris Liawi, Jr., a leader in geospatial technology. It includes Mr. Jonathan Grant, a retired senior public official in the Ministry of Finance, I believe, and Ms. Trudy Deans, a consultant who has been instrumental in initiatives such as the Jamaica Education Transformation Commission. Together, this team brings a wealth of expertise and experience and will guide our efforts to build a more resilient Jamaica. The DRMRC's mandate is to, one, assess vulnerabilities in critical infrastructure and services to ensure they remain operational, even during disaster events. Critical infrastructure includes water supply systems, electricity grids, telecommunications networks, and transportation routes. These are the backbone of daily life and must remain operational. The focus will be on ensuring that these essential services are designed, maintained, and upgraded to withstand the impact of hurricanes, floods, and other disaster events. Secondly, the committee will evaluate emergency services to ensure they are equipped to respond quickly and efficiently to crises. The committee will thoroughly evaluate the readiness and capability of all of Jamaica's emergency services to ensure that they are in top shape. And three, to provide recommendations for improving national and local disaster response frameworks, ensuring better coordination, and ensuring better coordination between agencies. The work of the DRMRC is not just about addressing the immediate risks posed by disasters, but about building a culture of resilience in Jamaica that prepares us for the future. The ultimate goal is to ensure that our infrastructure services and communities are equipped to handle any challenge, ensuring the continued safety and well-being of Jamaicans, and indeed the continuity of government in the face of any serious natural disaster challenge. the impact of Hurricane Beryl is a call to action. Hurricanes such as Beryl gives us a stark reminder of the importance of preparedness. Every year, under the Disaster Risk Management Act, this room is filled with all the agency heads who are a part of the Disaster Risk Management Committee. We meet at hotels elsewhere and we gather and we discuss our preparedness. But you are never truly prepared until you are tested. And Beryl was a test. From where I sit and having the kind of general view of the system, I'm inclined to say that we performed creditably. But there is room for improvement. If you were to compare us against what happened in the past, we would be way ahead in terms of the ability of the government to respond, our financial preparedness, the speed at which we are now distributing humanitarian assistance, reconstruction assistance. But that is if you're comparing with what happened in the past. We must now be comparing ourselves to what is likely to happen in the future and the gaps that we are seeing now. And so the Cabinet has decided to empanel this committee to actually do that work, practical, technical work, to advise the government as to how do we close the gaps. For example, when Beryl struck, several communities were without water, which shows us that your water system, for it to be resilient, can't be reliant on only the sole provider of electricity in the country. It has to have some resilience of itself, some backup system of itself. So that has to be looked at, that has to be studied, and the government advised. The readiness of the utility provider, JPS, that has to be looked at. What went wrong? What did they do right? Where is the need for improvement in the system? That has to be looked at. We also have to look at our ability to conduct rapid assessment of damage. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security, they have their standing mission to conduct assessment. But when a disaster of the scale of Beryl or greater happens, they would not have the human resources to immediately conduct the assessment. So we need to plan for that. Where are the standby capabilities? How do we integrate technology such as, AI surveillance capabilities, that you can use AI to study aerial footage to see where the damage has actually occurred. You could very easily, rapidly conduct assessments. And then there's the whole issue of how do we identify beneficiaries, which is one of the main challenges now. You assess someone, you collect their information, you prepare a check for them, but then you go back and try to find them. You can't find them. So there are many issues, many gaps. And how do we manage international philanthropy? So we have a central focal point, but you'll always have the case where someone will say, well, I don't want to give to government, I want to give to someone else, and you will have other people coming up to set up philanthropic organizations. All of that needs to be coordinated so that the impact of international assistance is properly channeled and targeted. So I repeat, my own assessment is that I think we have performed creditably, but there are gaps. We can't compare ourselves to what happened in the past. We have to be looking forward now to ensure that for the threats to come, which I have said, they are intense when they happen, they are more frequent, and they tend to overlap. So we have to have that capability. So this is the Cabinet's response, first response in developing this committee. I could stop to take questions on this before I go on to the next matter. 2 questions, if you agree. All right, if there are no questions, then I'll go on to the other matter. In January last year, I indicated that Jamaica would be willing to participate in a multinational security mission to assist the Haitian state to achieve a reasonable level of security and facilitate the holding of elections. We were the first to commit personnel on the basis that any multinational security mission must have, one, the support of the Haitian people, two, the appropriate jurisdictional sanction, and three, it must be adequately resourced. In February last year, I led a CARICOM delegation on a fact-finding mission to Haiti, where I met with members of the government and stakeholders from the church, business, and civil society. The mission was an important part of CARICOM's approach to supporting Haiti. Ultimately, from that mission, Jamaica agreed to host and train members of the Haitian National Police Force with the support of Canada. Two, CARICOM heads of government appointed an eminent persons group, the EPG, to represent the community's good offices facilitation of the government of Haiti and Haitian stakeholders. The three-member EPG consisted of former Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Right Honorable Perry Christie, former Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Honorable Bruce Golding, and former Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Dr. the Honorable Kenny Anthony. In June 2023, Jamaica hosted the EPG's first engagement with Haitian stakeholders for consultations on the formation of a new government. In July 2023, I addressed the UN Security Council on behalf of CARICOM on the urgent need to have a resolution passed to give effect to the multinational security mission in Haiti. The resolution was passed in October 2023, which gave the appropriate jurisdictional basis for the multinational security support mission to operate. A trust fund was also established to give certainty around the funding of the operations of the multinational security mission. In March 2024, with the support of the United States and Canada, Jamaica brought other CARICOM personnel together, along with our own forces, to begin training for deployment to Haiti. So as Minister of Defense, today we announce that Jamaica will begin its participation in the multinational security support mission with the deployment of 24 personnel to Haiti to provide command, planning, and logistics support. The deployment is comprised of 20 JDF personnel and 4 JCF personnel. The security forces continue in a state of readiness to support further deployment towards our overall commitment as the mission in Haiti is scaled up. Jamaica has close fraternal ties to the people of Haiti, and we stand in solidarity with them. Jamaica also has a national security interest in the situation in Haiti, one of our closest neighbors. It is in our interest to support a long-lasting resolution to the problems in Haiti. Here in Jamaica, we see the growing entrenchment of gangs who organize the production of armed violence with a view to economic gain, spreading terror in communities and weakening the state's guarantee to citizens' security. We see this as an evolving existential threat to law and order and the proper functioning of institutions of the state, not only in Jamaica, but in several countries across the region. It is a regional problem. The threat of gangs must not be viewed as only a citizen-to-citizen problem, where regular policing and the criminal justice system would be sufficient to address the problem. The threat is at a level in the region where gangs and organized armed violence they produce is a threat to the very state. Haiti is the example of what could happen if states and governments do not take the problem seriously and put in place the measures and resources necessary to bring the problem under control. I wish to thank the members of the security forces who will be deploying to Haiti, and I wish them well, and obviously we pray for their safety and security. I know their conduct will be exemplary, and they will take every precaution for their personal safety. I also want to acknowledge the support of our international partners, the US and Canada in particular, and the work of CARICOM in supporting the process in Haiti.
Thank you, PM. It was anticipated. I see the hand already up in terms of questions. I see 5 hands up already. Naomi, over to you. And PM has to leave. And so I do have a hard stop. So you're going to have to decide who's going to ask the questions. I can maybe take 2 or 3. Go ahead.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Again, Reuters asking a couple of questions. The full pledge is 170 JDF, they say, and 30 JCF, wondering why only 24 personnel will be deployed. Can you also give when we will have that deployment exactly of the 24? Is it specific, like today, or is it another day? And then also, under whose management are the Jamaican troops going to be functioning? And what will be the main role of the Jamaican troops in Haiti?
Thank you for that question. I will invite CDS to give those details, including when the deployment will take place. But just to be clear, as I said in my presentation, this is a build-up to our commitment. None of the countries that have made commitments have deployed all at once. It's not practical. It's not possible. Preparations have to be made in the host country, and so as those preparations are made, then and the possibility of scaling up happens, then we will, on our side, fulfill all our commitments. So this is a start to what we intend to do, and as the situation in Haiti is prepared for our presence, we will deploy.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Good morning to everyone. In respect of when we will deploy, we expect to deploy on Thursday the 12th. That is in 2 days' time. Why 24 and what are we going to do? We have been preparing for this deployment for over a year. Once we got the indication that Jamaica was prepared to participate. And so it takes a lot of planning. We're at the stage now, we've done our due diligence, and we're at the stage now that we can deploy the persons that we have committed to support the command element of the MSS as the mission rolls out, as the Prime Minister has indicated. So the Jamaican contingent will be under the command of local Colonel Kevron Henry. He is the designated deputy commander of the overall mission. We're also ensuring that within the planning and operations of the headquarters that the Jamaican contingent will occupy key appointments to ensure that we bring our expertise and bring our interest in the mission to the forefront in the headquarters. What was your other question? Did I miss any?
So given the time, we'll just do one CDS or one of the others that was a follow-up. So CDS, just the first.
What will they be doing? They will be, so their main role of this particular advanced small team is to support the command structure of the headquarters and the planning for follow-on deployment and operations. In respect of your other question, I am not in a position to answer that.
Thank you, CDS. Let's go to Ms.
Just to be
Williams.
very, so that everybody understands, the deployment of security personnel in this multinational mission requires extensive planning. And we can't just merely send troops without having, for example, as was pointed out, the command structure in place, the facilities to host. So what you're seeing now is the build-out towards that. So we want a very successful operation, and the operation should have no shortcomings because there was any failure to plan.
Thank you, sir. Kalisha?
That's it.
Kalisha Williams, Television Jamaica. Mr. Holness, the PNP has been demanding that Parliament be convened to table the IC report. What is your response to that? And also, how concerned are you about the documents being leaked days after it was sent to key stakeholders in the Parliament? Thank you.
My response is that as soon as it is possible, as soon as Parliament is convened, the date set for the convening of Parliament was the 17th. So as soon as that date is there, I'm certain the report will be tabled, and I'm eagerly looking forward to it being tabled. I'm concerned about leaks, very much so. Concerned to the point where members of the opposition could say with definitive certainty when the report was going to be tabled and what was the content of the report. I am very concerned. And that was even before the report reached Parliament.
Our final question, sir. Edmund?
Next question.
Edmund Campbell, Vienna Company. Prime Minister, are you, as a leader of CARICOM, are you disappointed with the pace with which the multinational forces that have been deployed since, I think, June, are making in terms of, well, making inroads in terms of displacing the gangs in Haiti, particularly in Port-au-Prince? I believe they're about 80%, if I'm not mistaken, of the area is still controlled by the gangs. Are you disappointed that the multinational forces have not been able to make a greater impact? And do you believe that the intervention with our deployment could possibly make any difference?
I laid out in my presentation the steps that we have gone through to get to this point. I didn't outline all the steps, but the critical ones to get to this point. It can be a long and extended process. As to whether or not I am disappointed, my response to that is I understand all the moving parts that have to be properly aligned for the mission to be successful. The multinational security support mission is not the only line of effort for the resolution of the problems in Haiti. That is just one line of effort. There are important and significant diplomatic effort being made and stakeholder effort being made. And I think at this point we should commend the people of Haiti, their civil society and their church and all the other political figures involved who have managed to come to some kind of understanding as to the way forward. So there are many processes that are ongoing. I think it would be, it would not be wise to prepare the region to believe that the multinational security mission would be the only or final solution to the problem. They are there to support, and we build up in a very structured way to ensure that all elements of the plan for Haiti work together in the most peaceful way, with the least loss of life, and with the greatest impact for a long-term, enduring solution. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.